So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Parish Council meeting. First of all, to receive apologies for absence and declarations of interest, please.
So I've received apologies from councillors Hopcroft, Rolfe and councillors Coker and Fenwick may be late.
Okay, no problem at all. Councillors that are present currently, are there any declarations of interest?
No.
None for me, Becky.
No.
None for me.
No.
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 Okay, fabulous. Okie dokie. Well, we will continue on. Just wanted to obviously say good evening to Phil, who I can see up in the top corner, who's joined us. I believe are you here for item 2, which is the cricket club, I believe. So we
yes,
will.
I am.
Okay, so no problem at all. We will obviously continue on with item number 2 on the agenda this evening, which is to consider a proposal from Theo and Talos Cricket Club to reduce the club's annual fee for 2020. So,
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay.
yes, I can hear you. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So just to give you guys a bit of background. So I'm Phil Mead. I'm the chairman of the cricket club, Theo and Talos. And as you're sure you're aware, we pay a per match fee when we use the facilities. But with this year, there's been obviously some unusual circumstances with the COVID situation. So a little bit of background on that fee. So we normally pay £63 a game. And looking back in our records, we believe that is made up of a hourly rate for using the pavilion, which is £7 an hour for 6 hours of use. And a flat fee for using the overall facilities, the pitch and the outfield, which is £21 per match, which comes to a total of the £63 per match. And I think the reason it's calculated that way is because, as you might be aware, we do all the groundwork. So we prepare the pitches that we play cricket on. So there's not a council fee for doing that. We also contribute towards the cutting of the grass for cricket, so because we tend to want the grass shorter than would generally be had, so we contribute towards those costs, and so that's why I think the fee for the actual use of the facilities is only £21 for each senior game, but using pavilion comes to £42 per game. So in this year where we've had COVID, we've not been able to use the pavilion at all, which I'm sure you're all aware of, because we weren't able to go in. So what we did, we made some alternative arrangements for our toilet facilities and rearranged the game slightly so we didn't need to use the pavilion, which we incurred some costs for, and we stored the toilet, which was a porta toilet, within the club cupboard where we have our roller and our lawnmowers and things like that. So we believe this year that it is reasonable not to pay for the part of the fee which is for hiring the pavilion, but we do understand we'd still pay the pitch hire fee. So our proposal is that rather than it being £63 per senior game, that would come down to £21 per game, because we haven't used the pavilion itself during any of those games because we weren't able to access it. So that's a very quick summary. Any questions?
Yes, Phil, just for my reference, I guess anyone else, what time period are we talking about here?
So we played from the 11th of July to about the 29th of September. So once the restrictions on cricket lifted, which was around about the 10th of July, we played from the Saturday after that, which would have been 22 games.
Okay. Just
Alan, you've raised your hand as well. So I can see you've got a raised hand figure within our team. So I believe Alan's got a question as well.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't got my hand up.
Well, press it again then.
So did you say 22 games, Phil, and it was retrospective for this year?
Yes. So normally we pay normally around double that, but 22 games this year.
Yep.
Can I just ask, Phil, you do also keep all your equipment within our property, don't you? So you have access to the garage of where all your equipment is kept as well.
Yeah, so in the garage we've got our roller, lawnmowers,
Yeah.
and yeah, all that equipment there. That's fine.
And as far as I'm aware, I would understand that obviously that's obviously taken into consideration when any fees are obviously charged. Is
Yeah,
that
so
you'll probably find that fundamentally, although it's not completely obvious, that I would imagine that within that will probably be the cost of you using that garage and having that garage as storage. So the use of the pavilion is not just the kitchen and the hall space itself. It will probably be obviously the use of that garage as well, that you're being charged for over the course of the year as well.
Yeah, so the last time we saw the calculation, it was made up of a flat fee, which you might say covers the garage use, plus a per hour hire fee. So that's how we saw it set up. But that last time we saw it formally written down was actually in 2012. In that way, so what's happened since then is it's gone up a little bit each year, but they haven't re-specified the exact equation.
Okay.
Phil, can I just ask one more question? I'm not going to promise it'll be the last, but it'll be one for now. What's the reason for the ask? Is it financial? Is it because you feel you didn't get use of the facilities? What's the reason?
So the reason for us is financial mainly because we have incurred costs to hire the Portaloo, and if we also paid the costs for the pavilion hire, then we're already making a loss on this year. We'd make an increased loss on the year, and that just means for our members, we try and break even each year or be as close as we can.
Okay, thank you.
One question from me, Phil. Have you obviously with regard to this, have you continued to take the same amount of subscriptions from all your members then in that case, or have they received a discount because of COVID?
Yeah, so we have a membership fee of £50. So for this year we halved it because we only paid half a season. But in terms of match fees, they stayed the same, which is £10 per match for seniors and £5 for juniors.
And do you use both the membership and the match fees as a subsidiary amount to come in to obviously to cover the costs, or is it that you anticipate the match fees covering all the costs?
No, so we need both to cover.
You need both to cover all the costs.
But normally the match fees make up the bulk because we get match fees for home and away games. We play a lot of games each year normally. So
you say you only played approximately half the usual games?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So some of our fixed costs like insurance, obviously that hasn't varied. Other costs such as ground maintenance have been lower because we haven't had to do so much. But we still have the end of season groundwork, which is pretty much the same each year.
Okay. Any other questions, councillors?
So I just want to confirm the numbers then. So I make 22 games, £1,386 at £63 a game, and at £21 a game, that's £462.
Yeah, that's what I made it as well.
Which is a difference of £924.
So that's not half then.
Sorry, who was that? I didn't hear that very clearly.
Sorry, that was me. I said that's not half.
No, it'll be, I think, 20. It'll be about a third. 21 out of 63.
Jan, I don't think the ask was for half. I think the ask was, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, the ask was that we waive the portion of the fees that from the 2012 figures we believe relates to the pavilion hire.
Yeah, that's correct.
So there was two parts, Jan. There was there's a portion that related to using the ground and a portion that related to using the pavilion for that time.
Is there any proportion in there for the nets and the training which still carried on for quite a bit?
So we've never,
or is that incorporated in something?
So for training, we've never paid a fee because we generally use the pavilion for training and obviously don't use the outside pitch. Obviously, we funded all the nets to build them,
Yeah.
so I think that's why I think there's never been a fee for it. I don't know if it can be discussed historically.
So, just a question to our clerk, Paul, just in case you may have looked into this. So are we right in saying that there's been no updated terms of reference or terms of contract with the cricket club since 2012? Or is it that we have an updated contract, but that it doesn't actually indicate the terms of reference or the breakdown of the costings?
You bear with me. The contract lasts a decade.
I can answer that for you, Becky. There was an update to it because it was something that Ian and I worked on.
Well, that's what I thought, or that's what I was concerned.
I'm just going to dig through, see if I can find it.
I just wanted to know if there was reference within that as the breakdown, as Phil was suggesting, or whether it actually just said a set amount.
Whilst Paul's looking for that, I'll just highlight. So this was on the agenda last month, and there was a youth match and some meetings as well, which were on the information we provided as councillors. So without having everything written down for this proposal, are they to be taken into account as well? So the charging schedule on the last month said 1 youth match at £31 and 4 meetings at £7.
So the meetings, I think, occurred, so they should just be charged at the normal rate. The youth match is generally it's a 50% of the senior matches, so it's a 3-hour hire, and we normally paid half the sort of hire fee for, so half overall.
So I have the agreement here. It doesn't stipulate amounts. I seem to remember, my vague recollection is that it stipulated, well, actually it's in here, the hire charges, which are the concessionary rate for the facility for each such booking in accordance with the hire charge schedule. So we just referred to the hire charge schedule in there rather than anything else.
Okay.
And the agreement ran from 2018 to 2028. Have you found it, Paul, or do you want me to send it to you?
I found what you're reading off. Now I'm looking for this hire charges schedule, which I didn't know existed.
I think that might have referred to our standard hire charges, and I think there was probably some discounted charges or special charges because of the frequent use from the cricket club.
Okay.
But I think the reason it was put in here was that way because it was a 10-year agreement, so we didn't want to stipulate a value or inflationary rises or other rises.
Okay. I mean, it probably doesn't help us in this situation, but I think that it might be something to consider, is that actually on an annual basis that the hire schedule is updated and obviously agreed by both parties and signed off by both parties. And I think that going forward, that might be a better way of proceeding, as you know, not just for us but also for you, Phil, so that each year we've got a schedule of what's going to come in, because obviously you know, the difference between 1386 and 462 is quite a considerable amount, and as you'll understand, is like with yourselves that haven't been able to use the facilities, you know, we ourselves have not been able to gain the income that we should have from our facilities, which is something that the council depends upon, in not having to put precepts up increasingly each year, dramatically, to obviously cover the costs to be able to supply these facilities to Thiel and the surrounding areas. But I think that, you know, going forward, that's just something that might need to be noted, and I think it might be a good idea for both parties. But obviously, if we haven't got that to hand now, it can't be judged upon. So, councillors, obviously you've heard from Phil, you've heard the figures of what was going to be expected from the cricket club this year to what the cricket club feels that they are in a position to be able to pay, and obviously the difference that that puts in to the financials. And obviously it's now obviously a question of, if there are no more questions, then obviously for council to make their decision.
I'm quite happy to make a proposal, Becky, and a proposal that I would make is we give the cricket club the concession that they're asking for of £924, given the extraordinary circumstances that there have been this year, and allow the cricket club to survive this year financially as a one-off gesture from us to the cricket club.
Yeah, I'll second that one.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well.
What's the actual number we're charging?
So £462, Dan, for 22 games.
Plus, like you said,
Plus.
Dan, plus the meetings, plus the youth team. So it'll probably just be slightly higher than the 462. But that's...
So the
I'm not uncomfortable in principle with that. I think just a point for process. It'd be good to have had all the numbers in advance.
It
so
will be good to have, yeah.
Them.
So
we had all the numbers last month when we made a decision,
okay.
And now we're looking at nothing and fundamentally changing that. But that's a procedural point.
That's fine. Paul, do you know what was on last month's for the meetings?
I'm about to get it up for you.
There's 4 meetings at £7 per hour, 1 youth match.
And 1 youth match, yeah.
31.50.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly as Dan said.
Sorry, so it's
1 youth match at 31.50.
yeah.
Then,
But we're saying that £21 is the match fee for an adult, and the juniors were half that. So it wouldn't be the 31.50, would it? That's that would have assumed having the pavilion as well.
So 15.75 for the youth match, plus 4 hours of meeting, which is £28.
Okay.
So that's a total of £505.75.
Got there before me. 500 and
£505.75.
okay.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. Councillors, is everyone else happy to accept a payment from the cricket club for £505.75 in relation to the costs incurred in 2020?
Yeah, is that
on the basis that they have been given a one-off concession due to the COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
Is that all right with the cricket club?
Sorry, Alan.
Is that all right with the cricket club? Is that acceptable to them?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is a fair outcome, and we also noted that we should clarify the terms of the agreement going forward.
Yeah,
so
I think that would be a good idea going forward for both of us, really. So yeah, I think that Paul will make note of that and obviously work on that for the next year of cricket. So yep, okay, well that's that one done. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us in such strange circumstances, Phil. But thank you for taking the time out. Please pass on our best wishes to everyone at the cricket club.
Thank you, will do.
Have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Phil.
Okay. With that being said, we'll move on to item number 3. And bid a good evening to Councillor Macro. Thank you for joining us. We are going to have item number 3 of the agenda, which is the District Councillor's report.
Thank you. There's 3 issues to report on, and one is really major. The first one is planning application has just been put in, which is called a prior a prior agreement. I've forgotten the terminology now. Sorry, it's for field station and the application actually for a new entrance. However, I'm not sure if this is something you'll be discussing this evening because the application's only just gone in. Prior approval is the term. Sorry. When you look at plans, you'll find there's a lot more on the plan than just a new access, because what they are proposing to do, and I say they, it's a combination of Network Rail, Great Western and the council, is to put a second deck on the car park. So when you look at that plan, you'll see a kind of the 2-deck car park plus the bridge and the lifts and so on, but they're all the decked car park and the lifts and the bridge are separate projects. So don't read too much into that. The decked car park was liable to come along rather sooner than the rest. The reason it's a prior approval rather than a planning application is because Network Rail basically have grandfather's rights from the Act of Parliament that established the Berkshire and Hampshire Railway, which allows them to do most things to do with the railway without planning permission. So when you come to that, I thought you might need that bit of background, otherwise it's going to be a bit puzzling as to why there's an application for a new entrance and then there's all this other stuff on the plan. And what the new entrance itself, it'll be a separate entrance basically for taxis and buses, which will be on the Reading side of the new ticket office. The next thing I want to mention fairly briefly is the council are about to go out to consultation on the minerals and waste plan, this has been in gestation for a number of years, but it's finally seeing the light of day. It's not going to have very much impact on Thiel. It does protect the 4 aggregate depots in Wigmore Lane to continue as aggregate depots. But that's the only impact on Thiel itself. There will be one new gravel quarry given permission from this, which will be in the field between the A4 and the railway, the other side of the Spring Inn. So it's that the field all the way from the Spring Inn to Ofton Lane to the south of the A4.
Wow.
Yeah, when and if it'll happen, I don't know, because there's another permission was given to another site and another quarry in Wasing several years ago, which hasn't been started yet. So that might well come along first. But so there's nothing additional on the waste side of things. The other thing on the mineral side is a soft sand quarry near Cheveley Services, but that's about it.
So you said that was a field directly from the Spring Inn to where? Sorry, Alan.
Between the Spring Inn and Ofton Lane, so it's on the Thatcham side of the Spring Inn, if you like, between the A4
okay, and that's on the railway side, yeah.
On the railway side, it's called Tidney Bed, but don't know where that comes from. But yeah.
No.
So as I said, the council are about to go out to consultation on that. So no doubt you'll be officially informed of that consultation.
Are you aware, Alan, of who owns that land? Is that estate land?
I don't know it, to be frank. It might well be. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a copse in it which will be protected, so they won't be removing the trees.
Okay.
And it will be restored to agriculture following working.
Okay.
The reason there's only the one extra mineral site allocated is that the demand for kind of what I call one aggregates has gone down dramatically over the last few years, mainly because there's a much greater use now of recycled aggregates. So if you go back a few years, we had the field was surrounded by gravel pits, wasn't it? But
yeah,
that demand has gone down dramatically. And so to some extent, the last delay on the plan was when one of the site proposal pulled out was to the benefit, because in the meantime the demand has gone down even further. So yeah. Okay, so I'll come on to the big one now though, and that is this is confidential. When this a meeting
Alan,
sorry.
Can I just stop you, because obviously if this is confidential, our meeting is currently being recorded. So if you wish to speak to us in a district councillor confidentiality, we'll need to pause obviously the recording of the meeting.
If you wouldn't mind, it's it's not too dramatic, it'll be public by Friday. But,
no, but obviously, that's Friday, not now. Okay, so just for the record and for the interests of obviously clarification, I will ask the clerk now to pause the recording of said meeting for the district councillor to give confidential information to councillors, which is not available for public knowledge at this point.